good afternoon. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget that podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. We're appreciative of all of the avenues that we have to serve you, and I thank you so much. I have Phillip Gilliland with me right now. He's with American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches, where I go to church, by the way. Lookout Mountain.
Yes, good church, growing church, booming. There's not hardly a week goes by that I don't have some communication with somebody from your church, and it's always something good, something positive, and y'all are growing.
Oh, busting out of the seams.
I mean, and that same thing holds true for several of our churches, and some of my traditional church pastor friends have asked me, what is going on? And I tell them, I say, well, and then they'll ask me, say, well, how are y'all doing this or this or this? And I say, the only thing we do is try to take away barriers. And our focus is taking away barriers. And other than that, it's, we use the same Bible that most other churches use. It's the NLT translation, because we have a lot of adult people come there that don't know Genesis from Revelation. They weren't raised in church, or so we have a version that's a little easier. And I had to learn to use that, because I was one of those guys that was brought up on the old King James version, and I had learned to be real comfortable with it, but I realized it's not as important for me to be comfortable as it is to be discipling these new converts. So the AFCC produces a Bible titled Learning the Ropes, and I think we gave away 5 cases last week, not this past week, but the week before. I've lost track of my weeks, but it was not this bad.
Helping American
I have been. I told somebody Saturday. I was with some friends Saturday, and I told them. I said, "Well, I've been from Montana to North Carolina in the last 5 weeks, and of course, I flew out to Montana, but other than that, I mean, we drove. Jacob has gone with me. He's at basketball practice today, but he had gone with me over 2,200 miles in 2 weeks. We right after the North Carolina trip, where we were in 3 churches in North Carolina, and we ended up at Tar River Cowboy Church just outside of Wake Forest, just a little north of Wake Forest, up near Louisville, and we had a good time on that trip. We carried a chuck wagon to Brother Neil Hatfield at Uplands Reach Ministry, and he does some really great things. He does a lot of youth camps and youth ministry. That he's just a phenomenal guy, and that was up his ministries in Yadkinville, North Carolina. So we made that long trip across North Carolina, and then the next week after that we went to the state FFA convention, gave away 5 cases of Bibles, had a great time there. I don't know, I am so attached to that group of people, and one of my friends who is the state director of the FFA in New Mexico came home. He's originally from here. So we are going to New Mexico next year for their state convention, and that's exciting for us. So the week that we went to the FFA convention, we got back home, and I did something on Friday. We got home Thursday night. I had something on Friday. I can't remember what it was. We had a rodeo on Saturday, which Jacob, the one that goes with me all the time, he won the shoot dogging, and he placed second in the steer riding, and he was beyond himself happy. So I was too. I was so proud of him. And then that was on Saturday, and Sunday morning we left at 4:30, headed to Sevierville, where I preached for my friend Kent Hightower up in Morristown, right above Sevierville, and man, when I got home that Sunday night, I was whipped, and so last week I didn't do a whole lot. I went to Coleman one day, and uh, but other than that, I didn't do a bunch last week. And it's that time now. This week we start our camps. This week we have two AFCC camps, one for preteen, and then right after it will be the teen camps. My wife and John Patrick, my 15-year-old, will be involved in all of that. I'll go there, but I'm not going to stay there. And then Jacob will go to the teen camp as well. So it'll be a big time. And then in July we have the Pee Wee camp at Crossover Cowboy Church in Henniger. So that's for the ones that are too young to go to that camp. Then we have something for them, and it is always a big deal. And I'm excited about it. Now that one I'll go to about every day because it's so good, and what they do is really incredible. So it's a busy time. We get to
Every time's a busy time with the Cowboys.
When we get to August, on August the 12th, we'll have a ranch house school for all our cowboy churches at the Trading Post, and I hope a lot of people that don't understand the reason why we do some of the things we do, I hope they'll come. It's free. We'll have a free chuck wagon lunch that day, and we'll have a lot of good things, some great speakers. Most of those guys will be from Texas, and we'll be hosting it at the Trading Post, so it's not hard to get to. The Trading Post is in the little town of Woodville, which is kind of halfway between Scottsboro and Huntsville on Highway 72. And then when we get to October, on October the 7th, we'll have the fall gathering, which is all our churches coming together, and it'll be at the Trading Post for the first time. Those events, we've never had either one of those. We've never had a school at the Trading Post. We've never had a fall gathering at the Trading Post. So that, and I guess, and if of course, I pastor that church, but I wasn't the one that suggested that. I just did what the team leaders asked us to do. So I thought it was a great idea, but I wasn't the one that brought it up. But we're excited about it being close, and maybe they just felt sorry for the old guy for having to travel so much. So they said, we'll come do it at your place so you don't have to travel. But man, it's such a blessing to get to do what I get to do, and we have new churches that are and that's part of the reason why I was in North Carolina. That we have new churches that desire to affiliate with us, and we have new churches starting. Danny Bride leads the new church start team, and I serve with him on that team, and some other guys. But we're still planting churches. We're still helping resource these churches to help get started, to help reach lost people.
Well, there's a cry for it, and people are looking for something other than the traditional.
Yes.
When you get into, and tradition is good, but sometimes we get locked into a tradition where it's almost like it's formal. And I think, there's enough formality in this world as it is, with the weird things that are going on in the world. We talk about, politics and stuff all the time. And people are just looking for something different where you feel more free.
Yeah, and we've had some new couples the last few weeks in our church, and they remarked at how relaxed how comfortable they are when they first walk in. And I read one of those books. I believe the guy's name is Tom Reiner. That is, I guess he's the CEO of Lifeway, and he wrote some really good books. But I think he wrote the one about how new people react to coming into a church the first time. I believe it was him, and they said there is a large percentage of those people that will make up their mind if they're ever coming back before they ever walk in the front
before
door.
it even starts.
That's right.
Because we've done that. When we first moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, we were looking for a church, and so we just walked into one. It was a small church, and the people just kind of turned around and stared at us. And Phil said, "I don't think this was going to work out."
Yeah.
We didn't even stay for the service. We just left.
Oh, how sad to me that
It was almost, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, and I don't get that.
But,
When ours come in, and we had some people lately that have had small toddlers, and I go to them specifically to tell them, look, if that child gets fussy, don't you worry about taking them out. Now, there's some ladies back in the nursery that be glad to take care of it. But if you're not comfortable with that, you keep that child in here. Because I promise you, it does not bother us. We like the sound of
we do
children.
too.
Yes.
We do too. And it's refreshing, absolutely refreshing. Let's talk about family life. I know you're real close to all of your sons, and we're going to have to go into a commercial break. But when we come back,
Okay.
let's talk about how important that is.
Okay.
We're going to be right back in just a minute. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of the Cobb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community
Good afternoon,
College.
we're back. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. My name is Donna Thiesel.
Looks like you've been sleeping well,
Megan, he's back! The My Pillow guy!
and you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0.
The best sleep just got even better. Whether you have a MyPillow or not, you need to get the brand new MyPillow 2.0. Call or go to mypillow.com now. Use your promo code, and for a limited time when you buy one, you'll get a second one absolutely free.
And I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast. By the way, if you get your feelings hurt really easy, don't go there to the podcast.
Yeah.
There are a lot of fabulous talk show hosts there.
Good.
And they believe in telling it like it is. So if you get your feelings hurt, don't even go there. But I'm amazed I'm even a part of this. I mean, I really am. It's netnewsnetwork.net. And I want to thank the folks there, the very nice folks, for letting me be part of that as well. Phillip Gilliland is with me right now. He's with American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. I've known Phillip for a long time.
Yes.
We're old friends now. But I've noticed this relationship you have with your kids.
Yes.
And now you have some that are kind of grown folks.
Well, there's only, and I figured this up the other day. Because I kind of talked about it in my sermon a little yesterday. But there's only 30 years between the oldest one and the youngest one.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right? He's 53. No, maybe it's 40 years between the oldest one and the youngest one.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there's a lot of years between the oldest one and the youngest one. But I got a call, talk to the oldest one on Saturday a good little bit, and they're in Telluride, Colorado. They have a home there, and they'd gone there for a few weeks, and they were having a good time. They had a big bluegrass festival there this weekend, and they got to hear Allison Krauss and Alabama's very own Emmylou Harris. They got to hear. They were going Saturday night to hear them, and but anyway, we had a good talk. He and I talked more probably than me and Jason, the next to the oldest. But he called me yesterday morning early. I was at the barn feeding. He knows I get up early, and we talked, and they're planning a big trip to Europe, and my grandson is going to study there this summer, and so they're going to get him settled, and they're going to do an excursion or two. They're going to Italy, and they're also going up to Scotland and Ireland. And anyway, we had a good talk, and then my two youngest ones, they are always with me, and but my granddaughter, she called me real early Sunday morning.
I was about to mention her, by the way. She's
my
talented.
oldest one, this is Gracie, which Gracie's the one that's be a senior at the University of Alabama this fall, and now Peyton has done really good, and I continue to be amazed at her and how much she is growing in her profession, and they're just kids, but they're incredible. But Gracie called me early yesterday morning, like at 6 or 6:30, and that was a blessing. And then I got to spend the day with my boys, and they bought me a new fishing rod. They bought me some fishing lures, and
That's the best gift you can give a mother, too, by the way, Brad.
They gave, and I had this, I went to make coffee early because I get up early, and I get up a little even more early on Sunday because I like to reread what I studied. And anyway, I went to make my coffee, and there was a card that they had put by my coffee maker, and man, it was very emotional for me, and I had an emotional day. Of course, you and I don't know how it is with everybody else. It's of course, my dad has been gone 19 years. This Father's Day, it's been 19 years, and for some reason, I had been over at Albertville a good bit on Saturday. One of my good friends was buried Saturday, and I'd gone to the funeral home and talked to his wife, and that was a season in our life, and most I've come to learn that life, and it's a biblical thing, is made up of seasons. We like to measure things in years, and I try to remind myself pretty often, God doesn't measure things like we measure. He lives in a world of eternity. I'm 73 years old, but that doesn't mean anything to him. Age doesn't mean anything to him. That's why I have one son that's 53 and the youngest one that's 13. So, I'm thinking about all those things, and then being back in Albertville around people I grew up around, and the guy that we laid to rest on Saturday. There was a season in my life when we were young that we were together a lot, and when my oldest boys and his two sons, which him and his wife had, they were growing up together, and we just had a good friendship, and then life goes on, and people kind of drift off in different. It's nothing anybody done bad. It's just life. It's just life, and we move on. But I sure had fond memories of the times that he and I were together. And the older you get, I think the more you begin to think about these things that are important to you, and the seasons you look back at. And the Bible tells us not to get by. The Bible, Jesus said himself, he said, there's no man fit for the kingdom who puts his hands to the plow and looks backward. So you can't look back too much except to count your blessings. And some of those are incredible blessings, like with my dad. And yesterday I went and took his pocket knife that I have, and he had this thing about carrying a sharp pocket knife. He did not like anybody that did not carry a sharp knife. His philosophy was, if a man's too lazy to sharpen his own knife, he's too lazy. That was my dad's philosophy, and I've thought about that. And I have his old Masonic ring, and I took it out and looked at it, and I found that in an old toolbox because he had worked till he wore the thing into. Took it off and left it in the toolbox, and I didn't find that till about a year ago.
Oh, wow, that was a treasure.
And I'd moved that toolbox from my shop up to the barn.
Memories tied into that.
I guess it shook loose in that it was one of these rolling with drawers toolboxes, and it fell out. And I thought, gosh, I wonder whatever happened to that thing. And he'd taken it off because he literally wore it. He was a hard-working man. But thinking about the seasons and those things, but I love my boys, and I thought and you have a son, so you understand. Man, it is such a good thing to know that they've done. The oldest ones have done well. They're doing well.
Accomplished.
They made something of themselves, and I guess I kind of like to beat myself up over things that I think were mistakes I made and things that I didn't know.
I do that too. I beat myself up.
But the one thing, and I mentioned this yesterday. I said to I said, well, you know, the one thing that I know I got right, and I got it right with the oldest ones, and I got it right with the youngest ones. I prayed for them all the time. I mean, I have prayed and prayed more prayers for those boys than anything else in my life. And so I may have missed it in a lot of ways, but that's the one thing I know I got right. And I don't understand, and it breaks my heart to think that you have kids that don't have that kind of relationship with their dad. That I know kids that have never even seen their dad, and their dad's not a part of their life, and that to me I can't fathom a dad not being part of his kid's life. To me, that's the great, other than salvation and your spouse, the greatest gift God can give you is children. And you ought to appreciate it enough to have them at the forefront of your prayer life and your interest. And I don't believe that there's any child that ever ought to go to bed at night and wonder where their dad loves them or not. They ought to know. And it's not just telling them, it's showing them. It is showing them by your actions that you love them. I don't believe that I really think, and some people might be offended, but the truth is every child deserves to hear their dad pray. They deserve to see their dad read a Bible. They deserve to see their dad be the spiritual leader in the home, and be the one to say, hey, our spiritual life is important. We need to be in church together. And if you don't like this one, we'll go to one we do like. If it's I just think the thing, I believe this country's in a mess. You and I have talked about it. It is a disaster what's going on in this country. The thing that could help our country, and people talk about it and say it and mention it on social media, is to put God back in all the places that we took him out of. That's true. But I tell you, the number one thing that will get us there is men being the spiritual leader of their home, being the men that they're supposed to be in the life of their wife and their kids. Then we'd get to where we need to be. But until men step back up and become the spiritual leaders of the home, and lead by example, not with a fist of authority, but like Jesus said, to love like he loved the church.
And this is gonna be a shocker coming from a woman. And women, let the man be the head of the house.
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
There are decisions I don't want to have to make. We're gonna have to call it a day. Look at this, time flies by. Thank you so much for watching The Edge, and thank you, Phillip,
My
always
pleasure.
for being on the show, always. And thank you again so much for watching. Looking forward to seeing you for the next show. You take care.